umbrella nearby.
Your local weather expert, WWL TV meteorologist Michelle Morgan. A double murder in New Orleans East. We get the story from WWL TV's Devin Bartolotta.
It happened near the intersection of Curran and Benson Streets. We're told an 18-year-old was shot and killed. And just moments ago, we learned that another victim, a 23-year-old man, died at a hospital. A third person was also injured. They are currently undergoing treatment, but we do not know their condition. And around 6 this evening, a man was shot in the Dixon neighborhood. NOPD says it happened in the 4200 block of Hollygrove Street. So far, no other information about that shooting has been made available. If you know anything about this shooting or any of the others, you are asked to call Crime Stoppers. And remember, you can remain anonymous.
And the gun violence continues. WWL TV's Paul Dudley reports on a pair of shootings under investigation.
NOPD is investigating a shooting that happened in the 2600 block of Quantify Street near the intersection of North Broad and Bienville. All we know from police at this point is that someone was shot in the leg at this location sometime before 12:30 a.m. Meanwhile, the NOPD is also investigating after a man showed up at the hospital after being shot, but we do not know when exactly or where exactly he was shot.
One woman is raising signatures to call out the National Guard to help fight crime. WWL TV's Mike Pearlstein reports.
It is often said that drastic times call for drastic measures. And to New Orleans business owner Rhonda Findley, the city's high level of crime and shortage of police officers is drastic. So this week, she began circulating a petition suggesting calling in the National Guard.
My house was broken into. The next night, there were 4 armed gunmen outside my door, 10 feet from my door in my home. And then I was terrorized in my business.
Findley found out that many others share her concern. Within days, the petition topped 850 signatures.
We don't have enough NOPD officers to ensure the quality of life and public safety in New Orleans.
Findley's proposal is a long shot. National Guard troops are usually reserved for emergencies such as natural disasters.
It is an extreme proposition, but if not that, then what?
Now here's Scott Alexander with WWL Sports.
The entire season for the New Orleans Saints comes down to today. By now, just about everyone in the Crescent City knows that not only do the black and gold need to beat the arch-rival Atlanta Falcons this afternoon, the Saints also need help from the Los Angeles Rams, who need to defeat the San Francisco 49ers at SoFi Stadium. But will the players themselves be watching the scoreboard during their own game against the Dirty Birds? If they do, apparently all-pro defensive end Cam Jordan will not be among them.
By 50 points, I look over in between the first quarter through the fourth quarter. Game whistle. That's all I'm focused on is trying to get a hold of Matt, create a turnover. I think our defense has to be fully locked in for 60 minutes, and we'll worry about how the cards will turn as they may. But again, we have to handle our business first before we can look outside.
Kickoff for both teams will be at 3:25, and of course the Saints-Falcons will be right here on WWL.
Tigers win!
2 LSU basketball players scored half their team's points and grabbed half their rebounds as well in the 21st-ranked Tigers' big 79-67 victory over 18th-ranked Tennessee Volunteers. Tari Eason led the Bayou Bengals with 24 points, a career high, and 12 rebounds. Senior Darius Days chipped in 15 and 18. After impressive wins over Kentucky and Tennessee this week, they got another tough one coming up Wednesday, January 12th at Florida. They play the Gators at 6 p.m. Scott Alexander, WWL Sports.
Now, your Garcia Roofing forecast on WWL.
A good Sunday morning. We are starting off quiet, lots of clouds, and constant fog is in the area. I do expect that fog to mix out in a few hours, but it looks like possible will remain in place out much of the day, and we'll see a little bit of sunshine here and there, but it's high into the upper 70s. Now, cold front's going to move through later on this afternoon, and scattered showers and storms are possible, and a few of those storms may become strong. We'll watch it. But when that front is completely out of the area, we are looking at drier and cooler air to begin our Monday, and daytime highs climbing into the upper 50s Monday afternoon. Lots of sunshine, and it will be quite breezy with winds out the north at 10 to 15 miles per hour, so it will feel much cooler than the upper 50s. From your local weather expert forecast center, I'm WWL TV meteorologist Michelle Morgan. Morgan.
And I'm Tom Perumian, WWL First News.
From WWL, the news talk sports powerhouse of the Gulf South, it's All Things Legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud. Underwritten by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. Join us on the Oakland Hard Jewelers talk and text line, 504-260-1870, or connect anytime, anywhere on the Odyssey app. Now, to our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union studios in the heart of New Orleans, here are attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri.
Hey, good morning. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. Give us a call at 260-1870 or text us. Good morning, Albert.
Hey, Doug, good morning. How are you?
Good. Before we get into the sports, I was listening to news. We'll go get into sports in a second. But they were talking about the business owners who can't conduct business in Orleans Parish because of crime.
Yeah.
The story before that. And, I wanted to ducktail on that because, we represent businessmen, and some of the businesses that want to expand, look at different options on where to expand, where they can relocate, from a dirt perspective, real estate, from a lot of perspectives. And just from our perspective, and people don't want to talk about this, but businesses do not want to come to New Orleans just because there's no basic city services, traffic lights, sewage, crime, city hall, permitting, occupational license, on down the line. And, we just had an election, and it didn't seem like that was an issue. I mean, you have what makes a urban area tick for its businesses. And, you have a concentration of people, and that's why you can generate revenue. You can do some nice things in the city, and there's just it's just apathy. Or I don't know, Albert, is it just like this is where we live, and crime's a part of it, and a lot of these businesses, especially more than industrial businesses, that might relocate to New Orleans East or some, certain areas in New Orleans that would be available. They go along the I-12 corridor. They go in a lot of other or worse yet, other states, because we're the only southern state that's losing population. But it's just very interesting that there's not a sense of urgency. You listen to 6 minutes of urgency about other issues that we really, but there's no urgency about the fact that, our cities seems to be dying from a business perspective, one cut at a time. And thank goodness for Gail Benson, because if it wasn't for her, we would have nothing in the future to look forward to.
I don't disagree. I think what, the mantra, never waste a good crisis. That's what we have. And I think this coronavirus thing has morphed into that. You cannot listen to a news segment without hearing about corona this, corona that, and this virus and this whatever. And it's been a wonderful thing for the people in charge because it's a distraction. Let's make this the news. We're going to distract everybody so they don't see the big potholes in the street, and the crime, and the horrible lack of leadership at the local and national levels. And never mind you're putting the oil industry in Southeast Louisiana and Southwest Louisiana out of business. Never mind that inflation's out of the sky. Never mind that crime is so unbelievable. And Edwin Edwards had a motto. Look, we'll keep them stupid and keep them voting for us. If they're informed and they pay attention to the issues and not just look at identity politics. It's like the mayor of Chicago. It was she's horrible. She's horrible, and she's rarely being called out in this defund the police concept. If I'm a policeman making my $40,000 a year to go sacrifice my life, and let my children and wife, not have a father or a husband every moment I'm on the job. And all of a sudden, I keep hearing how rotten the police force is and how, we need to just take money away from it. I don't want to go do my job. And so where's my incentive to go out and help the public when the public's not behind me? And that's why you can't find policemen that are willing to come work here. And I don't blame them.
Well, I mean, basically, local politics is not partisan. It's not Republican and Democrat, because protection from crime transcends politics. Being able to have a safe place to conduct business and live is beyond politics. Having drainage is beyond politics. Having your traffic lights work is beyond politics.
Well, I think it should be. It should be
what
beyond
I'm saying
politics, but it's
from an idealistic,
Right.
there's no political party that's for potholes. There's no political party that's for crime. There's no political party. So it really, when it comes down to it, when you're a mayor, it's about local issues, about things you can control. Local, I'm sorry, Mayor, you can't control climate change. So forget about it. Deal with what you can control about is potholes, crime, police protection, safety, drainage, traffic lights working, city hall permitting. All that can be controlled, and it just doesn't happen. And when I just heard the news story, and I just wanted to comment on the fact that the businessmen few businessmen that we represent that are in a position to expand. If they ever, the conversation about expanding in New Orleans doesn't occur because it's unspoken that it is hostile territory to expand your business in.
Right.
And because of these city services aren't there. And the thing about it is very interesting is nobody's upset about it. There's nobody going down to City Hall with pitchforks saying we're not going to put up with this anymore. So, I've always read, and he was saying this in tongue in cheek, Winston Churchill said that the greatest argument against democracy is a 5-minute conversation with the typical voter. And I thought that was very cynical, and I think he did that at a wrong time. But I think it does sometimes apply maybe in certain areas in the United States, or even if they're voting, So,
well, I can tell you, Doug, I have many, many, many friends that refuse to go to the French Quarter. We're not going to. We'll go to New Orleans if we absolutely have to. We will not go to the French Quarter. And if we do decide to go to a restaurant, we're going to get an Uber to drop us off at the door. And when we're done, we're going to walk from the restaurant into the Uber and get the heck out. And that is the mentality of so many people that I know, that I'm not going to walk around and get hit by a stray bullet, or or walk up and down Bourbon Street and just constantly smell weed the whole time and see what it's degenerated into. Just the bums and the people and the drugs and nobody wants that. It was cleaned up and it was thriving and it was beautified, and now it's it's gone into the toilet. And all we keep hearing about is, more people just got the Omicron virus because it's a distraction, and I mean, you keep hearing about these murders in other areas. Well, I feel horrible for people that can't get out. They don't have the financial resources to make their families safe and say, hey, look, I can't walk out of my own house. I mean, fortunately, people that live in other parishes have an escape. They can get away from it if they happen to have to go to New Orleans. But there are people that live there that, the woman that was on the news segment, they broke into her house and right in front of her front door. Nobody should have to live like that. And they did a study. It was in July that they found that there were like over 800 or 900 911 calls that just did not get answered. I mean, those are emergency calls and they just didn't answer. And nobody cares, and there's no accountability, and nobody's losing their jobs. And And then, I don't know, we can go on and on, but
I would just say
it's a lack of leadership, and then we're just going to keep moving the coin and saying, oh, we're trying to save the population with this Omicron thing that people are basically just getting colds from. It's just crazy.
And they say, well, what does this have to do with all things legal? Well, we do represent businesses. We do have a lot of insight when we meet with business owners.
Yep.
We help them walk through the process of maybe expanding or growing, or we're part of that process, and we're able to hear what their thought process is, and we hear what's their criteria for making decisions. And I would say, in absence of Gail Benson, who just loves the city so much that she's willing to sacrifice a lot of her. I mean, it's probably not a wise business decision to invest in New Orleans from a financial standpoint. She's doing it for the love of the city. But there's nobody else out there. Because most businessmen who are trying to grow, who are trying to expand their businesses, aren't looking to New Orleans. And and the bar is low. If you just had a little safety and you had a few city services that would work, they would probably hold their nose and deal with the other issues, because New Orleans is such a unique and beautiful city otherwise.
Right.
But that's just why, from our perspective, we deal with that, and we deal with that as lawyers.
All the time.
And so, but anyway, after we're going to be on till 11 o'clock, so we'll have a little more time to fill before we get the callers. We'll probably talk a little bit of sports about the Saints, and incredibly, they're still in the playoffs. What a great coaching job by Coach Payton. We'll be right back on All Things Legal right after this brief timeout.
We have a caller on. His name is Gregory from Picayune, and he has a question about what was the count.
Okay.
The FDA has approved a COVID-19 vaccine.
So begin 2022. If Russia decides to pursue confrontation, there will be serious consequences.
Where the stories begin.
Now we look at 2022. I want to tell my Republican friends, get ready, pal.
On WWL.
Are you getting the runaround from your Hurricane Ida insurance company?
Is your insurance company not returning your call?
Are you being denied a new roof?
Are you receiving lowball payments from your insurance company?
We can help. Call me, Doug Sunseri, WWL radio host and attorney at Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm in Mary, or go to our website at idahurricaneclaim.com.
Or on the North Shore, call me, Michelle Demarest Sunseri, at our office in Mandeville at 985-624-9697. We'll show the insurance company who's boss.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-568-2790. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems. If you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-568-2790. That's 800-568-2790 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-568-2790.
I bought football tickets for my husband, and now I'm in a football bubble. All I see online are articles and ads about football. I hate feeling manipulated. I downloaded DuckDuckGo, and I saw a difference right away. Get privacy online with DuckDuckGo.
Rejuvenate your workout with RejuveMe. RejuveMeMedical.com. Where do you go when you want to sell your gold or silver coins?
CausewayCoinCo.com. Brandon Hawley here. Premium Windows. Professionally measured, professionally installed. ReliefWindows.com.
Have you ever wondered why eyeglasses cost so much? Glasses have been around 700 years. Isn't technology supposed to get less expensive over time? Well, there's a simple explanation. For decades, the eyewear industry has been dominated by a single company that's kept prices artificially high while reaping huge profits.
Yikes.
Warby Parker was created to change that. They design and produce their own eyewear and then sell it directly to you for a fraction of the price. Warby Parker's high-quality glasses start at just $95, including your prescription. And if you need an updated prescription, they've got a few easy ways to help you.
Okay, we're going live after
Just go
this.
to
And we have got Gregory, Picayune, and Workman's Comp.
They'll ship them to you to try out for 5 days. If you find a style you like, they'll send you a fresh pair with your prescription. Easy. Go to warbyparker.com to pick your 5 frames to try on at home for free. That's warbyparker.com to get started for free. warbyparker.com.
Now, more All Things Legal, underwritten by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. All advice given and opinions shared are solely those of attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri. Back to WWL.
We're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We got Gregory from Picayune on the line. He obviously didn't want to hear us talk about sports, so we're going to talk about workers' comp. Hey, Greg, what you got for us, brother? Sure.
Recently, well, not recently, about 4 years ago, I was injured on the job, and I've been classified through workman's comp, who just settled with me, and I got some information, and I'm just wanting to check with y'all just to see if you could verify the accident was.
Let me stop you. Let me stop you. Do you have an attorney? Did an attorney represent you through the settlement?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. And now that I was going to try to file a lawsuit against the company because of unsafe working conditions. For some reason, I was advised that I couldn't do that because of my age, and workman's comp could take back the money that I received as fraud for settlement.
Well,
I was wondering if y'all could verify that.
Well, let me ask you this. Is your workers' comp claim in Mississippi or is it in Louisiana?
Mississippi.
All right. I can't speak to Mississippi specifically with 100% knowledge. So I'm going to say this in the context of Louisiana. It may apply to Mississippi. I'm assuming if you did a lump sum settlement in Mississippi, you probably signed a release stating that you're dismissing, or you may have signed a release saying you're dismissing any and all claims against your employer for any cause of action. And so you probably did some type of settlement agreement. I would read the settlement agreement, and if it has sort of a kitchen sink release of your employer for every claim, age discrimination, wages, all the possible work conditions, you may have given up that right when you settled the workers' comp claim. I'm not. I can't. I would say that's the way we would do it in Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
You should just read the paperwork.
Right. And look, keep in mind too that workers' compensation is a type of law all in and to itself. And basically what happens is you give up your right to file suit against your employer for any type of negligence that may have occurred, for instance, unsafe work environment. If in fact you file a workers' comp, if you're injured in the course and scope of your employment on the job. And basically there's a trade-off, right? So you don't have to go prove that someone was negligent or the employer was negligent. You collect your workers' compensation benefits and your medical benefits automatically. Okay, and so the trade-off is you're going to get that automatically. You don't have to prove the negligence, but at the same time, you now can't sue the employer for pain and suffering and what we call general damages outside of your wages at a limited rate and your medicals. So the law makes it very, very, very difficult to actually bring an action against your employer for negligence. It has to be pretty much an intentional act, or that they knew this was happening over and over and over again and did nothing to stop it. And those are very few and far between. And they're just, but again, like Doug said, you may not even have that right now because you may have released it all in your settlement.
Okay. Okay. I believe I pretty much understand what you were saying. Now, let me just ask you this, and maybe y'all might be able to answer, might not be able to answer. Now the claim has been settled. Am I allowed to go to Social Security and claim the Social Security now that I'm disabled, and try to get my benefits because I'm around 58, 59 years old, so it's well before my time to,
You can do that. Did you, in connection with your settlement though, did you file? You haven't filed for Social Security yet.
No, sir.
I mean, you could go ahead and file. Because typically, if you file workers' comp and you get on Social Security while you filed, there's something called an MSA where money is set aside in the settlement to use for your work-related injury. But you don't. It doesn't appear since you hadn't applied that would not apply. So depending on what your settlement is, and you may have some issues because Social Security may say, well, you've been compensated for your future medicals in this settlement, and so therefore you may have an issue with that. But
they may take what's called a set off. And set off some of your benefits based upon what your settlement was.
So but it's no hurt in applying, because if you apply, you're not going to be in any worse position than you are today.
Right, they couldn't penalize me for say because of a settlement.
They could not penalize, but they could reduce your Social Security payout.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, fine. Thank you very much for the information and help. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for that. We're talking about workers' comp. You're bringing up a good point. There's a trade-off, and I always explain it this way. Let's say you were at work and you decide to change a light bulb in the ceiling with a three-legged stool, and you fall and hurt yourself. Even though you're 100% at fault in causing that accident at work, workers' comp would probably still pay for that. Whereas if the employer was 100% negligent, like, for example, if there was some water on the floor that they didn't wipe up and someone slips on it, it's treated the same way, those two situations. The only thing you'd be entitled to is a weekly indemnity benefit based on a percentage of your weekly salary up to a certain maximum, which is around I think $900. Your medical bills, mileage to and from the healthcare providers, and if you have to be retrained, the cost of being retrained to go into another industry. But you don't get the pain and suffering issues, and that's why you don't see very often TV advertisements at 11 o'clock on Tuesday morning saying workers' comp. You might have a few because you don't have that big pain and suffering component to it.
Well, and you also keep in mind this is a limitation against a suit against your employer, right? It doesn't limit you from your claims against a third party that may have caused you the accident, or your injuries. For instance, you're driving the Coca-Cola truck and you work for Coca-Cola, and somebody comes along and rear-ends you and you're injured. You still get to collect your workers' compensation benefits because your employer owes you that. But at the same time, you can bring the action against the third party who caused the accident and collect pain and suffering, et cetera, from them. Now, what will happen is your employer will then file a workers' compensation lien into the proceedings and say, listen, we've paid this in medicals, we've paid this in workers' comp disability benefits, we want our money back. And so there's a formula now that's statutory that they will get a percentage of that back from your lawsuit. So when you make that claim, you still be able to collect your pain and suffering, but in terms of your special damages, right, your workers' compensation, wages, and your medicals, they will have a right to a lien to collect that back from you. And,
right.
you get into issues about comparative fault, and if you have some fault, then you may not collect from the other side 100% of your damages, and so you get into certain issues that the lawyers figure out in terms of what that settlement would be and what your net recovery would be.
And also for your law students who listened to the last 20-minute explanation on workers' comp, go to your teacher and ask for credit, because that was a good explanation, Albert. And that's about a month and a half of class in about 10 minutes. There you go. All right, let's go to a break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief time out.
After a while, time to second guess, and nobody's better than the He's been there, done that. Okay, the phone's at red. And NFL analyst Mike Cotillier for Second Guess. Mondays at 4 o'clock, live from the Silver Slipper, your host on the coast. Analyze Saints and NFL games like a pro. Second Guess with the two Cajuns, Bobby and Mike. Mondays from 4 p.m. till they get tired of talking on WWL.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-568-2790. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance to buy $1 million of affordable term life for you. All you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-568-2790. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-568-2790. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-568-2790. 800-568-2790.
DraftKings Sportsbook is coming soon to Louisiana. It won't be long until you can bet on all your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home. To celebrate, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving customers $100 in free bets when you sign up before they go live. No deposit required. DraftKings is bringing their experience as a leader in daily fantasy sports to the sports betting world and have created one of America's top-rated sportsbook app, DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code BIG870 when you sign up. Those who sign up right now will get $100 in free bets to use once mobile sports betting hits Louisiana. That's code BIG870 to get $100 in free bets instantly, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-770-STOP. 7867. 21 and over. Louisiana only. Availability varies by parish. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full terms and conditions.
Individual rates, coverage offerings.
Small businesses are the backbone of America. Yet when it comes to workers' comp insurance, you rarely get the savings you deserve. That's the
and you could save up to 30% with no hassle and no hidden fees. If you like savings, take 3 minutes to see how much you could save at trypie.com. Pie makes workers' comp insurance as easy as pie, with friendly representatives just a call away. No wonder customers rate our service excellent on Trustpilot. You work hard to build your business and keep your employees safe. You deserve more from your workers' comp provider. See how much you could save with Pie Insurance. Ask your agent for Pie or get a quote today at trypie.com. That's trypie.com.
At Community Coffee, we didn't set out just to make great coffee. We set out to make something that would bring out the best in people, morning, noon, and night. And who wouldn't want to share a cup of that? Community Coffee. Find us at your local grocery or visit us at communitycoffee.com.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish is...
It's pretty bad.
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind. Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive...
Okay, one more short one after this and we go live.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
No matter your learning style or experience level, Babbel has lessons designed for you that will get you speaking quickly and confidently.
I tried learning Spanish before, but I couldn't stick with it until I found Babbel.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said, now we speak Spanish.
I can't wait to use our new language skills on our upcoming adventures.
Babbel, language for life, celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
File in a way that fits you and get the refund you deserve. Guaranteed. Jackson Hewitt Tax Pros can help you find thousands worth of new tax credits. Schedule an appointment with one of our tax pros and learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
All things legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud on WWL and Odyssey Station. Connect now on the York Winhart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. Katie, our daughter, who's getting married in the French Quarter, pray for safety, next Sunday, sent me a meme talking about crime in Atlanta. And so we're not the only city that has crime. In Atlanta, they said an Atlanta Falcon fan put 2 tickets to the Saints game on their windshield. And they said someone broke into the car and put 4 more tickets into the car. So it's a meme. So, I bet, it's interesting. The Saints-Atlanta rivalry seems to be falling back, or Tampa Saints rivalry seems to getting close to the Falcons rivalry at the present time. Not historically, but the Saints-Falcons and the Saints-Buccaneers seem to be sort of on the same level right now in some ways. Now, I'm not saying from a historical perspective, but today.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's. Let me say what you want, though. The Falcons have nothing to play for. That's nonsense. They look at 28-3 that they, been dealing with the Saints fans, et cetera, they would love nothing more than to spoil it for the Saints, to go in there and actually leapfrog them for second place in the division, because right now they're only 1 game behind the Saints, and if the Saints lose and they win, then they will have the same record, but will have swept the Saints during the season. So, they would love nothing more than to be that spoiler. So don't think that, this is going to be a cakewalk, or this is going to be a heavy duty rivalry game. Too much history involved, and I just think that they're coming for blood.
I will say this, though. I think if the Saints jump on them early, they pack it in the second half.
I agree, but I don't know if the Saints are that type of offense or that type of team. They used to be when they had a quarterback, right? But I don't think they're that type of team anymore.
Well, yeah. Again,
the defense gets 6 or something happens, right?
Right. Well, again, if you look at this time of year, it's usually 3 or 4 plays that's separating Philadelphia Eagles, the Saints, the Minnesota Vikings, the San Francisco 49ers, between playoffs or not. I mean, it's just been, if you go back, I think everybody thought when the Saints lost to the Giants, we're going to look back at that game and just take a deep breath and say, that could be the difference between making the playoff or not. And so, it's usually a few plays. Now, I will have to say this. Kudos to Coach Payton. First of all, he starts out the year losing about 1/7 of the salary cap because of Michael Thomas. It's just dead money. And then You have a quarterback.
What a fine young gentleman he is.
Yes. Good riddance. And then you had you down to your 4th-string quarterback. Against Miami, you lost 24, 22 players to testing positive for COVID. And incidentally, they changed the protocols right after that game. They just had a lot of adversity and could have packed it in, and they didn't. And heck, you got your 3rd-string quarter, you got your 2nd, 3rd-string quarterback, however you want to classify Taysom, playing with a middle finger that's going to be operated on as soon as the season's over. It's just an amazing, or it may or may not if it heals correctly. But right, otherwise he would have an operation if he wasn't in season to get it fixed. But he's done really an amazing job, and I think for a coach, he's the kind of coach who'll say, you know what, these are some bad cards have been dealt with me, but I like the challenge. I like the challenge of trying to take this team and make it into something where a lot of coaches would be making excuses, would be, crying. They wouldn't look at it the way Coach Payton does. So kudos to the Saints. I had them at 7-10, and that was healthy, with healthy players, without a space. So I think they've exceeded expectations for the most part. And do you think the players are going to be scoreboard watching?
Well, hopefully they don't have that opportunity. Hopefully that there won't be any phones. There won't be any.
Well, they're the scoreboard. They have the rolling scoreboard at the Georgia Dome.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, they'll have announcements of the rolling scoreboard. Yes, they're going to be looking. And again, hopefully you don't see the Eagles running up the score. The 49ers running up the score, and the Saints open a big can of quit because you want to finish second in your division, right? You want to win your game. You want to have a winning season. The Saints even have a lot to play for, even though they don't have even if they don't make the playoffs. They still have a little pride. They have some things that they want to.
I'll tell you one thing about the playoffs this year. There is not a dominant team where you're going to say they're going to go through the playoffs. I think every team who's going to make the playoffs has the ability to win the next game.
Well, especially if you factor the whole COVID thing in.
Right.
Right? All of a sudden somebody tests positive, one of your key players or your quarterback or whoever, and it just totally, Vegas must be going crazy right now, setting lines out, a week early with this COVID protocol. And all of a sudden you're looking at, oh, gee whiz, we're missing 6 players, and guys who've been carrying clipboards, have to step up and be the guy.
Well, the Saints have had players who hadn't played in a couple of years starting out, the offensive tackle, and they have gone 3 or 4 deep. They have gone this is like a 3rd week exhibition, no, a 2nd week exhibition game, because a lot of those players would have been cut between week 2 and week 3 in the preseason, and so it's just he's just done a good job. It's almost has the feel a little bit of the strike year, just a little bit in '87 when you had the players who came in who played when the players went on strike for three games. Coach Payton played against the Saints when he played for Chicago. But it sort of has that kind of it's in a different context, but it has that kind of field where you have to modify your game plan. You have to modify things you do because you're throwing in players who have to learn things in a week or two. And you just got to do things different, and you got to make these changes on the run. And I think Coach Payton and his staff has done just a wonderful job in doing that, and they ought to be commended. Win or lose this week, they're to a certain extent, as a bottom line, you are what your record is, but it would be a very, very successful season for him. It'd be an interesting thing too. The Chicago Bears are going to fire their coach, Matt Nagy, and Coach Payton grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. So just just a little interesting thing to watch. Now I think he gets free reign here, and I think but it's always interesting when a successful coach's alma mater or where they're from coaching job comes open. There's going to be speculation as to whether it has anything to it or not. So, but I hope he stays. He's done a wonderful job. I think he can get rid of some of the dead wood next year, some of the dead money with Michael Thomas, and gets and redo this franchise and his image. All right, let's go to a break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
You want to know what wagertainment is? It's the picks, the analysis, the information, mixed with the laughter and the entertainment. Smart sports betting content that'll put a smile on your face.
The BetQL Network, streaming live each day and helping you bet smarter.
If you're a sports fan, you know why you should listen.
You're going to have 5 minutes to fill.
Okay.
5 minutes to fill. Top of the hour.
All the insight you need to bet smarter is at BetQL.com. And listen to the BetQL Network, streaming live right now on Odyssey.
Scott Graham here from Westwood One with a preview of Sunday Night Football. It's the final game of the regular season, and the final postseason slot is on the line. Both the Chargers and the Raiders are 9-7, and the winner of the game gets the last ticket to the playoffs. For Derek Carr in Las Vegas, a resurgence has occurred since their midseason turmoil, including wins in their last 3 straight.
We still have one more to go, but we're finishing better. We're finding a way to do it because we have the right kind of guys, and there's never been a doubt. There's never a finger pointed. This coach is not there and all this kind of, nobody cares. We have a bunch of guys that believe that and just keep going.
Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers also have hopes to play deeper into January and did win the first meeting back in Week 4. Ryan Radke and Ross Tucker will have the call of the Chargers at the Raiders on Sunday Night Football.
Remember to listen to Westwood One's coverage of the NFL all season long, right here on Saints Radio WWL.
Imagine the organizing possibilities with Lowe's, where keeping it all together comes with Project Source Clear Storage Totes starting at $238, and iDesign plus the Spruce Storage Bin starting at $1298. Clean up your closet with the Closet-Made Brightwood Closet Kit starting at $119.98. Find it all at Lowe's Store and Save event, in-store and on Lowe's.com. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. Valid through 3/18. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. U.S. only. iDesign plus the Spruce Storage Bin. Pricing excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Aristotle once said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Plato once remarked, the measure of a man is what he does with power. And someone at Hulu said, hey, did you know that Hulu Plus Live TV's got over 75 live channels? You can watch your favorite live sports, live news, live reality shows, and more. Plus tons of shows and movies on demand, too. It's time to have Hulu Plus Live TV. Live TV plan required. Restrictions apply. Learn more at Hulu.com.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-568-2790. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems. If you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for you with previous policies as well. If you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-568-2790.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We're on till 11 o'clock today, and we're going to lead into the Saints pregame coverage. And game day starts at 11 a.m. First take with Steve Geller and Scott Alexander. And then at 1 o'clock is the Bud Light Countdown to Kickoff with Bobby Hebert, Christian Garrick, featuring Mike Detillier. Game time, 3:25. Join the home team. Let's listen to Moose and Deuce and Mike Hoss and Deuce for the game. Figure out how to sync your TV to the radio and or to your computer, and let's listen to the home team. So there you go. We got about 3 or 4 minutes, and so we probably want to go into. After the hour, we'll talk a little bit about Hurricane Ida insurance claims. That seems to be dominating the, I guess, legal environment in New Orleans at this particular time. So we got a couple of minutes before we go to national news and local news. I did want to mention LSU. Did you watch LSU Tennessee game yesterday?
Did not. In fact, I went to my niece's wedding, and a little shout out to Elizabeth and Pierce. They got married last night. So, but yeah, that's where I was. But I did hear it was a good game.
So the Tennessee was. I mean, they beat Kentucky on Tuesday night. They beat Tennessee Saturday. Are both ranked, and you know that team. I think you would like this LSU team because they play phenomenal defense. And
yeah,
I mean, they just 94 feet, and they just long, and they play hard. And they're very, very disciplined. They're very, very disciplined. They're very their biggest weakness is outside shooting. Xavier Pinson got hurt yesterday, but hopefully it's not long term. But they're
they're saying it's not a tear.
Yeah.
It might just be a knee sprain.
Yeah, it looked like he was able to walk off, so maybe a week or two. But you know, LSU's already lost its number one scorer from last year. The two transferred in this year, and he's out for the year. So they're already playing without their top scorer. And I'm not saying from last year, but where he played for last year. And I just love the way they play defense. I love the way they play all aspects of the game, and they're just tough.
I did watch the Kentucky game, and you know, Kentucky was coming back, and you know, it was back and forth, and all of a sudden they went into a full court press, and Kentucky threw it away twice. You know, because
you're right.
The defense scored for turnovers, and it was you got to love it.
You had a similar ending last night where Tennessee was creeping back, and LSU basically pressured their way into a couple of turnovers and extended the lead to end it at 12. And also Tuesday night, congratulations to Coach Dale Brown. The court, the basketball court was named after him, and they had a wonderful ceremony. And he was well deserved. And he's probably one of the most interesting men you could ever have a conversation with. A few times we've had dinner with him, and you just mesmerized by the scope of his knowledge on so many different issues. And he's very, very thoughtful, very, very just very motivating. Got a wonderful personal story, and he was great for LSU. Congratulations! He looks fantastic. I think he's 85.
Yeah, he did look good. I saw him on the sidelines, in the stands. I mean,
and he stays sharp, and he's just congratulations, Coach, and thank you for what you've done for LSU. And he's still active, man. He'll go talk. He'll give a motivational speech. If you want him, he'll come and talk. He's fantastic.
Right.
So, all right, but we're gonna after the break, we'll probably talk a lot about Hurricane Ida, insurance claims, lots happening there. A lot of what to do now, because a lot of people are just getting emotionally frustrated on what to do next, unreturned phone calls, low ball payments. So we'll be back after for hour number 2. We'll be on till 11 o'clock. Stay tuned for national news, local news. We'll be back in about 10 minutes on All Things Legal. We'll see you then.
The News Talk sports leader, WWL New Orleans, WWL FM and HD1 Kenner New Orleans, and Odyssey Station.
Is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Linda Kenyon in Washington. Geneva is the site for some talks between the U.S. and Russia tomorrow, but can those talks be meaningful?
It's hard to see making actual progress as opposed to talking in an atmosphere of escalation with a gun to Ukraine's head.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken on CNN's State of the Union referring to Russia's troop buildup at the Ukrainian border. The Pope calls for peace in a country where Russia has already sent in some troops.
At his customary Sunday address to those gathered in St. Peter's Square, the Pope called for dialogue and justice to put an end to the violent unrest in Kazakhstan.
CBS's Sabina Castelfranco in Rome. Violent protests broke out in Kazakhstan, triggered by the sudden and severe increase in fuel prices. An increase in COVID cases is overwhelming the nation's hospitals.
Hospitalizations fueled by the Omicron wave are up 60% in the past week. Dr. Caroline Goldzweig of Cedars-Sinai.
We've been seeing an incredible explosion of COVID over the last few weeks. The patients who are dying from COVID, by and large, are ones who are not vaccinated.
CBS's Lilia Luciano reporting from New York. The Los Angeles Unified School District resumes classes tomorrow, but first, mandatory COVID testing. Jenna Schwartz with the advocacy group Parents Supporting Teachers help push for that testing.
Everyone's trying their best to keep kids in school, but at the end of the day, that's the best place for kids to be, is in a safe school setting.
No school tomorrow in the Chicago public school system.
The Chicago Teachers Union unveiled a new proposal that would have remote learning start Wednesday with a plan to get students back in the classroom January 18th. If CPS agrees to more COVID-19 safety measures, including more testing. But Mayor Lori Lightfoot shot down the idea even before the union was finished speaking, releasing a statement which said in part, the best, safest place for kids to be is in school.
WBBM Radio's Terry Keshner. Some dangerous weather is moving in, says CBS meteorologist David Parkinson.
Freezing rain is exceptionally dangerous because it just coats everything. You now get a glaze of ice on the ground, and it makes walking down the street or driving down roads incredibly hazardous. And that's the threat that we have for a large part of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic.
Award-winning lyricist Marilyn Bergman has died. She is survived by her husband, Alan, with whom she collaborated on hundreds of songs for stage and screen, including this one. And Marilyn Bergman died at her home in Los Angeles of non-COVID-related respiratory failure. She was 93. This is CBS News.
Get CBS News Radio on the Odyssey app. All the audio that matters to you is on Odyssey. News, music, sports, and fun. The app today. Guys, stop putting your love life on hold. U.S. Pharmacy has some exciting news. If you've been wanting to try Viagra or Cialis, now's the perfect time. Call today and receive 90 little blue or little yellow pills for only $119 with free shipping. Why order some low-dose sildenafil from one of those subscription services when we can give you what you want now? Call 800-711-6818 and we'll rush your order discreetly packaged to your door. Been thinking about trying Viagra or Cialis? Call U.S. Pharmacy at 800-711-6818 for as little as only $119 for 90 pills. Need your package in a hurry? Call 800-711-6818 and ask about our best shipping option, and we'll rush your order to you as soon as possible. Save money on this little blue or yellow pill you've been wanting to try. Again, 800-711-6818 now. That's 800-711-6818. WWL First News. I'm Tom Perulian on your official weather station, WWL, AM, FM, and .com.
It's a mild and muggy start, patchy and fog in the area. Lots of clouds will be in the forecast today. We'll see a little bit of sunshine here and there, but daytime highs getting up into the upper 70s. Showers and storms are in the forecast, hit or miss, so just make sure you have the rain gear nearby.
Your local weather expert, WWL TV meteorologist Michelle Morgan. An arrest is made in a fatal hit and run. WWL TV's Devin Bartolotta brings us the story.
Jefferson Parish, a man is behind bars accused of hitting and killing an elderly man on the side of the highway.
36-year-old Adrian Major faces several charges, including vehicular homicide. State police say 83-year-old Curtis Williams was on the side of US 90 near the Barataria exit around 3:30 this morning, trying to fix the car. At some point, Major drove by, hitting the stalled car and Williams. Williams later died from his injuries. Police believe Major was impaired during that crash.
A delay in the tax evasion case involving the New Orleans District Attorney, WWL TV's Paul Dudley, has the details.
The tax fraud case involving Orleans Parish District Attorney Jason Williams and his law partner Nicole Burdett won't come to a close anytime soon. That's according to our partners at the Times-Picayune New Orleans Advocate. The two are facing federal tax charges, but a judge has not set a court date just yet. U.S. District Judge Martin Feldman says he's waiting until a federal appeals court rules on a challenge that he issued last month over evidence in the case. Prosecutors opposed Feldman's decision to exclude evidence of Williams' history of late filings and payments. Both sides were initially planning for a January 24th trial date.
Now here's Scott Alexander with WWL Sports.
Earlier this year on the Saints Coaches Show, head coach Sean Payton informed us that if the first two quarterbacks go down in a game, running back Alvin Kamara would be the emergency QB. And apparently that's not the only position the all-pro running back is willing to play.
Could you ask my teammates, like, I'm the same week in, week out. Like, I mean, no matter what, me coming in, and I say this, year 5 now, and I've been saying this since my rookie year. Whatever I can do to help the team win. If I had to punt, if Blake went down, I had to punt. If I got to snap the ball, I'm going to do what I got to do. So just being able to be available and help my team in the best way I can.
And hopefully today against the Atlanta Falcons, neither Alvin nor Blake Killican will have to do much punting this afternoon. It's all or nothing for the Saints as they have to win to stay alive. Kickoff in Atlanta is 3:25 right here on WWL. But pregame, you can join Steve Geller and I on First Take at 11 a.m., followed by the Bud Light Countdown to Kickoff with the Cajun Cannon, Bobby Hebert, and Christian Garrett. The LSU Tiger basketball team broke open a tight game with a 20-5 run early in the second half to give them a 19-point lead, and the Tigers coasted home to a big 79-67 victory over 18th-ranked Tennessee. Scott Alexander, WWL Sports.
Now, your Garcia Roofing forecast on WWL.
A mild and muggy start to our morning across southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi. Now, it looks like the clouds will remain in place throughout much of the day. We'll see a little bit of sunshine here and there, but I expect mostly cloudy skies and temperatures climbing into the upper 70s this afternoon. So it will be quite warm and also muggy to the spring-like. A post-front is expected to move through later on this afternoon, triggering scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. A few of those
here we go.
Become strong, so watch out for that later on today. That was fairly dry, lots of clouds, and when that front is out of here, it looks like drier and cooler air will set in over the area. Monday highs getting up into the upper 50s, lots of sunshine, and it will be quite breezy. From your local weather expert forecast center, I'm WWL
First News.
From WWL, the news talk sports powerhouse of the Gulf South, it's all things legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud. Underwritten by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. Join us on the Oakland Heart Jewelers talk and text line 504-260-1870 or connect anytime, anywhere on the Odyssey app. Now to our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union studios in the heart of New Orleans. Here are attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri.
Hey, we're back. Hour number 2, Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. Call us on 260-1870, or you can text us on the Oakland Heart Talk and text line. We'll answer your questions. We'll be on till 11 o'clock today, leading into the First Take with Steve Geller and Scott Alexander at 11 o'clock. Scott, De La Salle grad. I have to plug my alma mater when I can. They'll be live at Rouse's Market in the Barone in the CBD. I'd love to do a remote at Rouse's because they would keep feeding you all through the remote, you know?
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
That would be good. Also, we'll be on next week, unless we're preempted by the Saints for the playoffs, but we'll probably be on next week. You know what? I think they run the playoff games later on Sundays. I'm not sure. They may be. We'll see.
Sunday, I
We'll
think
see.
they're about the same. Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do a noon game of 3:30 and then the evening game.
On
So
Saturdays.
they're going to be 6 games, 2 on Saturday, and those don't start till like 3:30. And then there's 3 on Sunday, and then there's actually a Monday night game for the playoffs.
Is there? Yeah, you're right, huh? That's right. There's 6 because they expanded to 7 teams. So
there are
they
12
played,
teams. 12 teams in the playoffs, and then 2 buys.
but 2 of them get buys. 2 of them get buys.
Right.
So would that be 4 or 6? Because if you had 6, you'd have 12.
Yeah, the 12.
Yeah,
12
but
teams. You get 3 from each.
You're right.
3 from each conference.
Gosh, a lot of football. So we'll be on. But if we're on next week, which we probably will, Albert will have a guest. I will probably be recovering from Katie's wedding. And it would probably not be a good idea for me to give legal advice after Katie's wedding because I would probably not be on my game. I would probably be fighting a bad headache and the other complications of a post-wedding and adult beverages. So
there you go.
But I want to talk a little bit about a lot about Hurricane Ida insurance claims. And Albert, what's your general vibe as to the feedback you're receiving from your clients and some of the issues they're dealing with, and the overall vibe as far as the insurance companies are concerned on how they're dealing with this?
I get a little bit of both. And again, I tend not to be this conspiracy theorist that all insurance companies are bad and they're all out to get you, and but quite often, again, we've talked about this in the past. Help me help you, right? I'm the insurance adjuster. I'm sitting at my desk. I have no idea other than the photographs I got and the claim summary I got from some third-party claim service that may have hired, an office worker with no construction experience whatsoever to, fill the void of the much-needed adjusters, give them a week of training, and send them on their way. And so you have a lot of that. And what people have to remember, for a number of reasons, what people have to remember is what is satisfactory proof of loss. So that is what the term of art is in the penalty statutes. That's what the term of art is in the statutes that set forth the duties and the requirements of the insurance company. So what is that, right? What is a satisfactory proof of loss? And I think the easiest example of this is they want to pay for 2 squares on your roof worth of shingles, but not replace the roof. And so what you want is to not just say, wait a minute, I need a new roof, and here's an estimate for my new roof. That's not satisfactory proof of loss. That's just satisfactory proof of what a new roof is going to cost. Satisfactory proof of loss means I hired somebody, and that roofer, that adjuster, that whomever we sent out, the licensed contractor, that person got up on that roof, took close-up photographs, not just some drone picture, took close-up photographs, lifted up the seal tabs to see if the seal tabs were compromised and broken. So a seal tab, for those who have heard that term, it's basically like a little asphalt or tar strip, and it rests between each shingle. And as the roof heats up, it forms a seal. Well, when the wind blows at 130 miles an hour for a sustained period of time, those seal tabs tend to, those shingles tend to peel back. And once they do, the dirt, the dust, the debris, everything else that gets blown into the in between those shingles then prevents that seal tab from sticking. And so you need to actually get up there and get on the roof and lift up those shingles to see if they're firmly enmeshed and stuck, or if they lift up. And if they do, you need a new roof. And so satisfactory proof of loss turns from just submitting a cost to, here are photographs where I'm lifting up random shingles over all 4 sections of the roof, or how many sections you have. Here are pictures of the granules, 1 inch thick in the gutter. Here are pictures of the edges of the shingles that show where the fiberglass, you can see, the granules are gone. These are the things that will establish why. And so that is considered satisfactory proof of loss. You want to get, for instance, I had one in St. Rose, and when I'm telling you, the roof came off, this felt came off. You could see it was an older roof, so you can see the 1x6 slats, and water just poured into the house. The stupid adjuster that they sent out put an estimate in there. Now, they had carpeting, they had wood flooring in this single-story house, and he put an estimate in there to mask the floor, to protect the floor while they replaced little sections of the sheetrock. Now, when my clients returned to the home, they said the carpet squished as they stepped on it, but this guy wants to mask the floor, and it was just it's so outrageous. And you could see sheetrock and insulation like on the ground, big chunks of it, like half of a ceiling on the ground, and the debris. Everybody's seen that either in person or in pictures. And how can you mask the floor for protection at that point? But those are the kinds of things that you need a trained adjuster, contractor, et cetera, not to just give you an estimate. You want a statement saying, we've got to replace the walls as well. Water got behind these walls. There's no question about it. And if you're going to do that, then you have to look at the electrical, right? Because you can bet that water got into that electrical panel, and water got into that the ceiling, right? So water's going to find its lowest point when it hits sheetrock on the ceiling. It's going to find where those seams are on the ceilings, on the roof side of the sheetrock. And so that's why always the seams, you'll see those seams are going to be yellowed, or you'll see the tape and everything else. Well, that same thing holds true in the little section in the middle of the ceiling where the light fixture is, right? That water is going to find its lowest point. And the lowest point is that light fixture and that hole in the ceiling where that light fixture is. And so as a result, that light fixture needs to be replaced. And the National Electric Code and the IRC, the International Residential Code, requires that if that electrical gets wet for safety purposes, it needs to be replaced. And so there needs to be a statement in your claim summary or in your estimate from your contractor that this got wet and needs to be replaced. And so those are the things that constitute satisfactory proof of loss. And when it's somebody like you and me, Doug, and we're cross-examining this adjuster on the witness stand, and you say, well, wait a minute, didn't you get this report and you reviewed it, right? And the report said that this fixture needed to be replaced, but you never did, your adjuster never did consider that. And even after you were shown why, and even after you were shown these photographs, you didn't issue a supplement to confirm that. Tell me why you didn't. And then they sit there with that stupid look on their face. Now, all of a sudden, they're arbitrary and capricious. They arbitrarily, they were made aware of a loss, and they arbitrarily, without any explanation, they arbitrarily just refused to pay it. And so now you've got them dead to right. Now you've got penalties. Now you've got attorney's fees. Now you've got all of these remedies that the law provides. And so that is satisfactory proof of loss, not just an estimate.
Now, I wanted to make, dovetailing on what you said, and I think you put it very well, is let's help the adjuster.
Right.
Get information. Now,
let me help you. Right.
Let me help you. Right. And basically, it's also been described, let's paint a real picture of what occurred so the desk adjuster and insurance company can compensate that. Now, one of the mistakes that homeowners make in these situations is they'll call the adjuster back and say, well, you missed this damage. You missed this damage. The insurance company's adjuster. And either, most of the time, they're not going to come back out to look at items they didn't miss. They say, well, the roof needs to be replaced, not repaired. Come take a second look at it, or come take a second look at the sheetrock. And you started spinning your wheels and doing that. What you need to do is what Albert said, is quantify your damages. Really, the duty is on the homeowner to quantify the damages, not the insurance. The insurance company has a duty to start the claim, but it's ultimately the homeowner to quantify the damages. So if you're in that situation, it's better trying to figure out how I'm going to quantify the damages in a way that's digestible by the insurance company, rather than trying to get the insurance company back out to do something they're never going to do on their own.
Exactly. And so, that's the issue. Another thing we talked about is contents, right? Your personal property. How do we submit that claim? What do we do to submit a contents claim? Right. So it's going to be kind of a pain, but we now have the beauty of the internet, right? The internet is a great thing. You can find just about every product in your house on the internet. And so what you will do is, there's a leather chair that, water got water soaked. Right. Get on the internet, find a leather chair that looks very similar, that has the same characteristics. Copy that link and paste it to, a page. Go down for each item that you've lost. Copy that link and say, here's how much this is brand new. And so they're going to, at that point, you've now given them satisfactory proof of loss instead of just a list with a number that's made up. We did that. Remember our friend Eddie from Hurricane Katrina, right? Eddie did a bunch of our estimates way back when in his own house. He was a wine collector, right? And he lived in Lakeview. Right. And his wine, he had really expensive bottles of wine.
Right.
And
his name ended in the vowel too, so that's
right.
A big one.
Good Irish boy, right? But Eddie had a very expensive wine collection, and it was on the first floor in his Lakeview house. So it sat and submerged in, hot water for weeks. And so that's what we did. We went and grabbed the bottles, and, I gave him an assignment. Listen, go get each one of these bottles, look it up the price on the internet, and we're going to put a link to it. And it's going to have a picture of the bottle that was damaged, right? And a picture, and then a link that shows that here's my bottle, here's the cost of it. And now all of a sudden, then they wrote him a check like this because he provided satisfactory proof of loss. You don't want to get to the point where you have to hire us, because then all of a sudden we've got to take a percentage of that recovery. So if you can establish your contents claim and establish your claims on your own. And look, they still might tell you to go pound sand. And if they do, then the line is drawn and it's time to get a lawyer. And hopefully at that point, we can take it over, and make it substantially more. And then, get the cost of your attorney's fees covered in the settlement.
All right. After we got to go to a break, but after the break, I'm going to sort of put you on the spot a little bit and ask you to talk a little bit about the pros and cons of public adjusters. So,
okay.
So we'll be right back on All Things Legal. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud. We'll see you in a few.
When the world changes so rapidly, a major challenge with the Omicron variant. The climate crisis. Build Back Better Act fight to protect voting rights. Information is power. Let's find the Senate. Go and we'll go live. The phone is clear. Solution that matters. City Attorney General knowledge of what's going on. To work within my community to keep us so safe. Very important to be up to date with. WWL, the News Talk Sports Leader. Plan the retirement you've always dreamed of. Listen to Your Money Matters Saturday mornings at 7 here on WWL, the News Talk and Sports powerhouse of the Gulf South.
Have you ever wondered why eyeglasses cost so much? Glasses have been around 700 years.
Isn't technology supposed to get less expensive over time? Well, there's a simple explanation. For decades, the eyewear industry has been dominated by a single company that's kept prices artificially high while reaping huge profits. Yikes. Warby Parker was created to change that. They design and produce their own eyewear and then sell it directly to you for a fraction of the price. Warby Parker's high-quality glasses start at just $95, including your prescription. And if you need an updated prescription, they've got a few easy ways to help you get one. Just go to warbyparker.com to try 5 pairs of frames for free. They'll ship them to you to try out for 5 days. If you find a style you like, they'll send you a fresh pair with your prescription. Easy. Go to warbyparker.com to pick your 5 frames to try on at home for free. That's warbyparker.com to get started for free. warbyparker.com. I feel like I'm being flicked by a pair of headphones. Everywhere I go is a creepy ad for headphones I looked at one time. I hate feeling like I'm being watched. I downloaded DuckDuckGo and saw a difference right away. Take back your privacy with DuckDuckGo.
All things legal on WWL, AMFM.com, and the Odyssey app. Connect with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud on the Oakland Arts text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. I'm going to ask you a question in context of Hurricane Ida, and it's sort of a question coming from an attorney's point of view because, we don't want to give this point of view colored by attorneys because public adjusters and attorneys, the Bar Association had some issues. But just from a 30,000 foot view, objectively, if you're sort of hitting a wall as to your insurance claim, what are the pros and cons of a public adjuster?
Well, I mean, obviously, you want to check to confirm that they are licensed, right? Make them show you a license. You can go to the Louisiana Insurance Commission's website and determine whether that public adjuster is a licensed public adjuster. And again, here's somewhat of the game, right? So if they want to sign a contingency fee contract, whereby they get a percentage of the fee or the recovery as their fee for handling the claim, that is illegal. It's been struck down by Louisiana courts. It's considered practicing law without a license. So a public adjuster should really only prepare a claims estimate for you and answer any questions that the insurance company may have with respect to that claim. But they should not be negotiating your claim for you and representing you in your claim. This is something that you should do.
That was my next question. Is the public adjuster under Louisiana law allowed to negotiate his claim, act as a representative, and sort of go back and forth, convey settlement offers back and forth between the insurance company and the adjuster?
That would be considered practicing law without a license. So, there's the other thing, talking about the fee. So what some public adjusters have done, they put a fee schedule in their contract. And so if it's $0 to $5,000, then their fee is going to be X amount, which works out to be 1/3 of $5,000. If it's 5 to 10, it's going to be X amount, which is going to be 1/3 of $10,000. So they've got it to where they're basically doing a contingency fee agreement, and it's a violation of the law, right? It's the other thing is when they do this, right, and they're trying to take a percentage. Some of them are 10%, 15%, 20%, whatever their number is, when they try to take that percentage and all of a sudden they don't get anywhere, right? The adjuster's still not paying and you have to file suit. Well, now you've got this contract with this adjuster where you're going to be paying them 15% of their damages that you recover. And then the lawyer's going to step in and say, wait a minute, we've now got a contract with you. We've got to file suit. We may have to try this thing up to the Louisiana Supreme Court. So we're going to collect a fee based on that recovery. So now you're looking at paying, 50%, whatever your agreement is with your attorney, plus that high number on behalf of your public adjuster. And so that is definitely one of the cons. The better thing to do, honestly, is to hire an attorney that has a staff, not a staff, but people that work with that attorney and perform that same service, and everybody's service is defined. And then you're just paying one fee and, a fixed small fee for the adjustment. And that adjustment is, here's that amount. It's a fixed amount. It's not a sliding scale. They're not taking a bigger percentage. This is what they did. They spent the day, evaluating your home and some time, putting it all into Xactimate and taking a bunch of pictures and that sort of thing. Here is a flat fee for that. And then that's done. The other thing is, lawyers are trained in the insurance industry. There's some lawyers out there. My guess is they're out there advertising for this that maybe have never handled a claim, an insurance claim for a hurricane in their lives. But now it looks like we see a lot of advertising. I actually sat through a continuing legal education, a CLE class. And there was a lawyer that was presenting, giving the class, and he admitted during his presentation that he has never read an HO3 or homeowner's policy. And he read it the night before, and he was like, I was surprised to see this. I was surprised to see that. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. You're going to hold yourself out to be this expert and present a class to other lawyers, and you've never looked at a homeowner's policy. You don't know what it means. You don't know how the courts have interpreted it. And so that's the thing you have to worry about with a lot of these public adjusters, is that, they may put together a great claim summary, an Xactimate summary, but at the end of the day, do they know what the coverages are? And do they know what you can claim and what you can't claim, and what you have to do to maybe make sure that this coverage goes into effect? And that's the difference between hiring a lawyer and hiring a public adjuster, because the lawyer is going to look at your policy. That's one of the first things we're going to look at. And we're going to see, do you have actual cash value coverage, or do you have replacement cost value coverage? Do you have ordinance or law coverage? Do you have, what do you have? What type of coverage limits do you have? And what about reasonable rental if it's a rental? What about additional living expenses if you have to move out for 2 weeks while they're making the repairs, or 2 months? What is it? What coverages do you have? So we will know at the end of the day what to make the claim for. You may be leaving a lot of money on the table. So, and listen, there are good ones, and I'm not here to discredit that, but one of the risks you run is you're paying double. Excuse me, those services if you end up having to hire an attorney to move the claim forward.
All right. Well, we got to go to a break. Great explanation. You see, that's another hour of credit that the law students can learn on insurance claims. They listen to you. That's about 6 weeks of class at most law schools. So in 10 minutes. So let's go to a break, and we'll go to Charlie from Harahan. He has an insurance question, so we'll take him on the other side of the break on all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
After Saints games, we all Monday morning quarterback. With Coach Payton and his staff get down to business, watching game tape, drilling down on team play and individual player performance. They see what we don't, size up what we can't. That's why we bring you the Saints Coaches Show. Hi, it's Mike Hawk. Tomorrow night at 6:30, join me, Bobby Hebert, and head coach Sean Payton for the Saints Coaches Show. Real conversations on the New Orleans Saints Radio Network, WWL.
Draftking Sportsbook is coming soon to Louisiana. It won't be long until you can bet on all your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home. To celebrate,
DraftKings Sportsbook is giving customers $100 in free bets when you sign up before they go live. No deposit required. DraftKings is bringing their experience as a leader in daily fantasy sports to the sports betting world and has created one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps, DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Code Big870 when you sign up. Those who sign up right now get $100 in free bets to use once mobile sports betting hits Louisiana. That's code Big870 to get $100 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-770-STOP. 7867. 21 and over. Louisiana only. Availability varies by parish. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full terms and conditions.
Louisiana broadcasters are looking for the best of the best. Announcing the 2022 LAB Broadcast Scholarship Program. Two $2,000 scholarships are available to Louisiana broadcasting students to help enhance or put the finishing touches on an education.
I do have another Albert on the phone from New Orleans, and he has a question about contractors.
Broadcasters.org.
On the phone, huh?
2022.
Charlie is still with us.
Broadcaster Scholarship Program. Good for you, good for us, great for Louisiana.
Odyssey is currently accepting applications for all of our local radio stations, including WWL. We also invite college students to apply for internships at our stations. If you're interested in a career in radio or an internship, please visit odysseyinc.com/careers or call 504-526-3000. Odyssey is dedicated to providing a broad outreach regarding job vacancies at our stations. Organizations that wish to receive our job postings are invited to contact us at 504-526-3000. Odyssey is an equal opportunity employer.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year. Our Spanish is pretty bad.
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind. Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned. ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿De dónde eres? ¿De dónde eres? No matter your learning style or experience level, Babbel has lessons designed for you that will get you speaking quickly and confidently. I tried learning Spanish before, but I couldn't stick with it until I found Babbel.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said, now we speak Spanish.
I can't wait to use our new language skills on our upcoming adventures. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Find podcasts for your passions on Odyssey.
Like the award-winning Fresh Air. They're going live after this.
Karen Culkin, welcome.
I love the show. I'm engaged and I care about these characters. I don't like them, but I care to see what happens with them. Or the 11th.
Bringing you true, unexpected stories.
And experience the new podcast movie thriller Ghost Rider.
Starring Kate Mara and Adam Scott. Maybe it's not a whodunit. If we know who the killer is all along, the real mystery is why.
Find all the podcasts that matter to you in a universe of audio.
Odyssey.
Now, more All Things Legal. Underwritten by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. All advice given and opinions shared are solely those of attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri. Back to WWL.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Charlie from Harahan. Hey, Charlie, what do you have for us, brother?
Good morning, guys. I got two problems. I heard you talking about wine. Well, I had a wine credenza with some very valuable wine in it, and the power was out for 12 days. And when the power came back on, it shorted out the cooling unit, so the power is still out, and my wine is not under refrigeration. It was under refrigeration for years before the storm. The insurance company has agreed to pay for the cooling unit. I don't know if the credenza is damaged or not. They sent somebody out here from a company called Strike Check, and he declared the cooling unit needed to be replaced, but he had no expertise on the credenza. The initial adjuster told me that he didn't know anything about wines and he didn't think State Farm did, so we needed to get a sommelier. So we did that, and he evaluated the wines. Now they're barking at paying me for the wines. but they did pay me for, or told me to give me some money to get a new cooling unit, which I haven't been able to do as yet. But so the wines are still not under refrigeration.
Well, that's Albert. I guess I'm gonna ask help from you on that one. What is the? I guess was there an electrical outage? Let me ask you this: were there any electrical boxes down on your property? In other words, or was it another wires? In other words,
we didn't have power for 12 days.
Okay. Let me ask you.
Yeah, one of the issues we run into, there's typically an exclusion in the policy for electrical outages. In other words, if it is an outage that occurs away from the insured premises, meaning there's a transformer line blown or a line down, a carrier line on one of the poles down, there's an exclusion typically in the policy for that. So if it fails to provide electrical services to your home, then then there's no coverage for that. If the electrical line from the power pole to your home is damaged, or if your exterior electrical panel is damaged as a result of the storm, then you would have coverage for any issues having to do with food spoilage and et cetera. Now, in this case, I've seen some insurance companies really hold the line on in terms of your equipment, right? Your air conditioner, the power goes back on and something shorts out and the fan motor blows, or in your situation with your mini fridge or your cooling system, whatever that system might be, and there's some sort of issue when the power comes back on. And I've seen some insurance companies say, no, this is a separate cause of loss, that now all of a sudden we had this power surge. The hurricane occurred 12 days later, the power attempts to come back on from an unrelated loss, right? A non-covered loss. And now the power comes back on and there's an electrical surge. You're going to have to file a new claim. And oh, by the way, your deductible is $2,500. So I've seen some insurance companies do that. Right, but you've already been paid. Right.
I paid the deductible and they paid me for food loss and the refrigerators. So I don't think that applies.
Oh, well, that's great.
What is the insurance company saying? Yeah, what is the insurance company's explanation for not paying the wine?
We can't tell if your wine is ruined or it's still good.
Right. Yeah, I think in that situation you get to
out of refrigerators for 12 days in a house that was 100 degrees in here.
Right. I think what you'll need, that's where you'll need the sommelier. That's where you'll get your sommelier to not only give you a value, but actually make a statement as to the wine, as to what happens when this wine is stored for that period of time in temperatures that exceed 100 degrees, and what the proper storage for wine is for its optimum flavor, et cetera. And so that's where you need a little paragraph or a statement. And if he can cite to some article or some periodical, whatever, that would even be a better estimate of what happened, and a more satisfactory proof of loss, put it that way. But that's where, if he can get you that statement.
They haven't denied that.
Okay. So what they're saying is we just need more information.
Correct. That's what they're saying. We need more information, and that's where I think you can get it.
Okay, I think what you.
Somebody have to check the answer, but
you see, here.
He glad that the cooling unit was bad. But.
Okay, here's basically what you would have to do is at this point to process the claim is you're gonna have your expert first of all state one that the wine is not good because of the refrigeration issues. And so I'd be specific about it. When did it lose power? When did it gain power? And what's the effect of it on the wine in a 12-day interim? And then 2, you have to quantify your damages. List each bottle of wine, have a photograph or have a digital picture and an Excel spreadsheet, and come with an amount. So basically what you have to deal with was 2 things. Causation, meaning your wine is not good.
We've done that.
Okay.
We've given them the value.
And so I think the missing link is the causation issue, as Albert said. In other words, you get your expert to testify, or not testify, but to write a statement as to why it is not viable wine. And it only has to be a couple of paragraphs. Doesn't have to be extensive, but just basically state that electrical went out August 29th, came back on sometime around September 8th or 9th. And what was the effect on the wine, and why has no value to it right now?
Okay.
And submit, and when you submit it,
Still not under refrigeration.
Yeah.
Still not under refrigeration now. We got air conditioning, but it's not under refrigeration.
Well,
normal temperature for wine is 58 degrees. My air conditioning is not that good.
Well, here's the other thing too. When you submit it to the insurance company, do it by email where you can mark the date and time. So because you're going to basically start the clock running, the 30-day period, and so that you can verify. If they don't respond, respond with a follow-up email. Say, I sent you this email.
We sent them. We've already made the claim. They haven't denied it. They just, giving me all these excuses to not pay it. And I'm talking to people that really don't know anything about wine.
Well, that's what your report's about. Even if they don't know about wine, your expert's report will tell them, about the wine or the value and why it has no value now. You see, so theoretically, what your expert says in his report will educate the claims adjuster. So he's either got to make a call. He's either got to make a call to either accept it, get his own expert, or get his own expert to counteract that. But at least you shooting the hockey puck at the goalie now. Okay, so you got to see if the goalie is going to score.
This is our third adjuster.
But you're going to have to keep after it, and also document all the inquiries to them. So I think the missing link, as Albert described, was just why is it not valuable? Why is it spoiled? Just a 2 or 3 paragraph explanation. All right.
Okay.
That's
let me get to the pool problem.
Okay.
In January of this year, I had a leak detection company come out and check my pool. And, the pool was in pretty good shape. Well, after the hurricane, I had shingles. I had all kinds of debris in the pool. And, of course, it wasn't running for 12 days as well. The pool, they're saying, how do you know it's damaged? Well, I had a pool company say it was damaged. But what I did again after this, the other day, I had the leak detection company come out. And the pool was not leaking before the hurricane. Now they have discovered 2 leaks. And they're recommending that the pool be replastered. But they're still not, insurance companies.
Okay. Well, I think what you're going to do is just get a little clarification from the expert as to the mechanism of how the plaster was damaged. That's what the insurance company will need.
It was, before, when they did this, the same company, before in January, they didn't say it needed to be replastered. So, to me, is it open?
No, but it is. But unfortunately to you, it is. But you have to make the claim in a court or under the law. And what you need to have, not only the fact that it needs, like Albert said earlier, is that you need an estimate for a repair. You have to state why the pool is. Okay, if you have that, then submit it to the insurance company. They should deal with it. Just not how much and why. All right. Well, just make sure you.
Well, you did submit it, so I don't know what.
Yeah. Well, then,
but you're saying that the estimate has been submitted, but has a statement from the pool company reviewing the pool after the fact stated that the reason why the pool now leaks is because of debris or, something or whatever the case may be, having to do with the storm. That's the causation side of it. You can't just say, oh, it didn't leak before, but it leaks now. You need some sort of expert saying more probably than not, it occurred as a result of this. And now all of a sudden they're on the clock to get their own pool expert.
I'll send them the report.
Okay.
Well then, okay. If the report says that, the clock should be running. Running. All right. Thanks for the call, Charlie. We've got to go to a hard break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
Individual rates, coverage offerings, and savings may vary, subject to terms and conditions, not available in all areas. Small businesses are the backbone of America.
Is Albert still on?
Albert on the phone, who has a contract.
Is he from New Orleans?
You in with other businesses, and you could get overcharged.
All right. Is how long are we going to have?
We're going to have 5 minutes.
You could save up to 30% with no hassle and no hidden fees. If you like savings, take 3 minutes to see how much you could save at trypie.com. Pi makes workers' comp insurance as easy as pie, with friendly representatives just a call away. No wonder customers rate our service excellent on Trustpilot. You work hard to build your business and keep your employees safe. You deserve more from your workers' comp provider. See how much you could save with Pi Insurance. Ask your agent for Pi or get a quote today at trypie.com. That's TRYPIE.com.
Community coffee is more than a flavor. It's a centuries-old culture, an obsession fueled with family traditions and rituals that we hope will continue to support those who make our communities thrive. Community coffee. Find us at your local grocery or visit us at communitycoffee.com.
Have you ever wondered why eyeglasses cost so much? Glasses have been around 700 years. Isn't technology supposed to get less expensive?
Okay, we got one more short one after this, and we go
live. For decades, the eyewear industry has been dominated by a single company that's kept prices artificially high while reaping huge profits.
Yikes.
Warby Parker was created to change that. They design and produce their own eyewear and then sell it directly to you for a fraction of the price. Warby Parker's high-quality glasses start at just $95, including your prescription. And if you need an updated prescription, they've got a few easy ways to help you get one. Just go to warbyparker.com to try 5 pairs of frames for free. They'll ship them to you to try out for 5 days. If you find a style you like, they'll send you a fresh pair with your prescription. Easy. Go to warbyparker.com to pick your 5 frames to try on at home for free. That's warbyparker.com to get started for free. warbyparker.com.
Discover thousands of dollars in new tax credits and your biggest refund guaranteed with Jackson Hewitt. Schedule an appointment with one of our tax pros to get a head start on your taxes. Go to jacksonhewitt.com to learn more and find a location near you.
All things legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud on WWL and Odyssey Station. Connect now on the Oakland Hart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. Let's go to phone lines. We've got Albert from New Orleans. We've got about 4 minutes, Albert. What you have for us, brother?
Hey guys, real quick up. I have some contractor friends who tell me that on occasion they'll do a detailed loss report for a homeowner and maybe even speak to the insurance company. But when the check comes in, the homeowner will take somebody else, for a cheaper price. In a case like that, other than just charging a fee for the inspection, does the contractor have any other choice, or should he or she notify the insurer that he's no longer involved with the property? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so we have folks that will send out, and that happens, right? Somebody will call me and say, hey, look, I need a contractor to give me an estimate. And so the contractors that we send out typically will charge a fee for the services, right? Here's how much it's going to be for the estimate. And then what they'll do is, if you hire me, I will reduce the amount of your estimate by whatever I charged for the fee. And that way, the insured really comes out even. But that's what happens. They get some licensed contractor, right? When you're a licensed contractor, you've now got to pay workers' comp, you've got to pay your licensed insurance, you've got to make sure that your subs are licensed, not just your plumbing, electrical, and HVAC, but your framing contractors, your foundation contractors, your roofing contractors, all of them have to be licensed. And when they're licensed, it costs more money. And so what happens is people get this money and they say, oh, great, I got a check. They paid me in full, but I've got this $10,000 deductible I've got to deal with. I can't be made whole. So I'm just going to go hire some folks standing out in front of Lowe's to come patch this up and do some work. And meanwhile, this contractor, spent a half a day out there, going, reviewing the home, and another half, a couple hours at night, putting a contract together, and they've not been compensated. So, I always recommend that they charge a fair amount for their time and effort putting that together, and then offering it, hey, look, you want me to do the work, I'll be happy to do it. And if it was, $400 or $500 or whatever, then I'll knock $400 or $500 off the estimate and, and do the work for you.
Homeowner shouldn't be offended if a contractor makes a proposal that you just described, right?
Of course not. I wouldn't, and if they are, then, I would tell the contractor to move on and not, because listen, that's happening everywhere. And, we want to use you to pump up our claim and get as much as we can. And then when we get that money, we're not going to pay you anything for that. We're not going to hire you to do the work. The guys are out there wasting their time performing estimates.
Should a contractor notify the insurer if he's been communicating with the insurer that he's no longer on the job, or they just don't worry about that?
Well, what I would do, I wouldn't worry about that. You don't want to necessarily jeopardize the rights of the insured, but make sure that you do go down to the permit office and pull the permit and tell them, look, I'm no longer the responsible party under this permit. Because, what you don't want is to have the permitting office get crossways with you if there's some inspection down the road and you're still the contractor of record. So I would certainly at least do that. And then now the work should have to stop. And if they go get it inspected, the insured's going to be up a tree if they hired somebody not licensed, or if they hired someone who didn't file for a proper permit.
I know a few contractors have experienced that from time to time. So, it's frustrating. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for the call. Yeah, I think a lot of insureds, policyholders do that. They'll shop the contractors wanting to get their own estimates, and sometimes they'll get the estimates and do the work themselves, or do it a different way. So, contractors have to figure out. That's the environment, and how to utilize their time wisely. And that's why a lot of homeowners have a hard time getting contractors, because they're a little hesitant about spending a half day doing an estimate for someone who's just going to use their estimate and tell them, move them down the road. So, that's
their time doing estimates and not time performing work that makes them money in this time of making hay while the sun shines, where there's a lot of business, a lot of work out there. They want to maximize their opportunity to do. And if they're pulled away from that to give an estimate, then they should be compensated.
The other aspect too is a lot of the contractors' estimates that are submitted to the insurance companies kick back because they're not detailed enough, especially if they use the square footage or some type of different type of estimate, by room estimate without
they're not
accounting
sufficiently itemized.
Right.
Right. They just have, painting, repair. Are you painting all the rooms? Are you painting just the rooms that are damaged? What here. And so again, we get back to the definition of satisfactory proof of loss. What is satisfactory? And it's got to be pretty detailed, and that's why the folks we send out have been cautioned about that and trained in making sure those estimates factor.
All right, so that's hour number 2. We'll be on till 11 o'clock. Stay tuned for national news, local news. We'll be back in about 10 minutes and all things legal. Stay tuned for hour number 3.
News Talk Sports Powerhouse. WWL New Orleans, WWL FM and HD1 New Orleans, and Odyssey Station. On the hour, presented by Indeed.com.
On Wednesday in Las Vegas, COVID keeps surging, breaking records across the country. CBS News correspondent Michael George reports from New York.
The Omicron variant spent the first week of 2022 spreading fast across the U.S. Children under 5 who aren't yet eligible for vaccine are being hospitalized at the highest rates of the pandemic so far. For all ages, the COVID-19 national daily average topped 614,000 new cases. In Florida, newly reported infections are shattering records. The spike is straining hospital resources in many states, including Missouri.
Every place is full. And we're back where we started, where everybody's looking all over the country for medicine.
The standoff between the Chicago District Union and officials like Brown University Dean of Public Health, Dr. Rasheed Shah, said it's time to start learning to live ABC, during flooding effectively cut off the city of Seattle from the rest of the country. Demonstrators protested in Melbourne, Australia, angry the immigration case involving tennis star Novak Djokovic is to be resolved. There's a court hearing for The decision comes after Denver lost yesterday in Kansas City, bringing the team's 3-season record to 19 wins and 30 losses. Nintendo has 4 years left on his contract with a team option in 2023. This is CBS News. 18-year-old was shot and killed. And the moment that we learned that, a 23-year-old man died at a hospital. A third person was also injured and reported under this evening, a man was shot in the Dixon neighborhood as he said other information about that shooting.
is investigating a shooting that happened in the 2600 block of Quantify Street near the intersection of North Broad and Vienville. All we know from police have disappointed that someone was shot in a leg at this location. Meanwhile, the NLP is also investigating after the hospital after being shot. We do not know when exactly where exactly shot. Called off the National Guard to help fight crime. WWL my first team reports. In comments, Draftking has called for drastic measures. Sean's business owner Rhonda Finley, the level of crime and shortage of police officers is drastic. This week, GPS circulated a petition calling in the National Guard. My house is represented here. Outside my door, escape from my door in my house, and then I was terrorized in my business. We found out that many others share our concern. Petition has 250 signatures. And then PD officers to ensure safety in New Orleans. This proposal is a big long shot. National Guard troops it's an extreme proposition, but if not that, then what? Numbers Scott Alexander with WWL Sports. The entire season for the New Orleans Saints comes down to today. By now, just about everyone in the Crimson City knows that not only do the Black and Gold need to beat the arch-rival Atlanta Falcons this afternoon, the Saints also need out for the Los Angeles Rams, need to defeat the San Francisco 49ers at SoFi Stadium. Just celebrate like you score during their own game against the Pretty Birds. They do, apparently, all pro defensive end champ Jordan. Between the first quarter and the fourth quarter, game was without police on trying to get a little man. Now, your Garcia roofing forecast on WWL.
Sunday morning, we're starting off quiet, lots of cars, and that's their fault in the area. I think that was a few hours.
Okay, gentlemen, here we go.
I'm Tom Peruvian, WWL First News. WWL, the news, talk, sports powerhouse of the Gulf South, in all things legal with Sunseri and Albert Nicaud. Underwritten by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. Join us on the Open Heart Jewelers text line 504-260-1870
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. Here for extra bonus hour number 3. Albert, we're not getting paid for extra hour though, so we're working on.
Yeah, I hate that. But look, the things we do for WWL, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
I got to tell you, I can't believe they would actually preempt us at 8 a.m. when the Saints play at noon. I mean, I'm sure more people want to hear us than the Saints coverage. But
absolutely.
I guess that's the decision our
that's
station manager makes. Yeah.
That's
above our pay grade.
So, well, I did want to make an announcement. The Tuesday night show for Auto Recovery Connection has sunset, so they've gotten tired of us. Got me on Tuesday night, so we won't be. I think 2 weeks ago was our last show. LSU was on last Tuesday, and I'm glad LSU played that bowl game, even though they lost, and even though they were shorthanded. They wasn't like the whiny other teams that said, "Oh, we got Omicrons in the air, and some of our players, or transfers or whatever, and we're not going to play." They played shorthanded. They played with a fifth-string quarterback, and they played hard. And sometimes you just have to play the game when the deck is stacked against you, and you still got to play. And even though the result wasn't good, kudos to LSU for playing. And kudos to those seniors playing, because that's a good life lesson. Because a lot of times things are going to be stacked against you. It's going to be unfair. You're going to be under adverse circumstances, but you still go out there and you play the game and you play the best you can. And rather than slinking away and saying, we're not going to play. So kudos to LSU. Also, before we get into it, what do you think about the Rams and the 49ers? Do you think, how do you I mean, we got two parts to this. Atlanta, but, we have
I think
to have
the
that.
Rams are the better. I think the Rams are a better team, and I think that they've got very, very much to play for. We talk about this all the time. Everybody in the NFL can play. Everybody in the NFL has been all-state, all-American, all this, all their lives, and they all have talent. And it's all about getting them to play and having an incentive to play and to win. You unfortunately see that in some of the Saints' performances this year. Certainly, I think Tampa is overall probably a better team, man to man. Certainly not defensively, but offensively. And we beat them twice because our guys, got up. They were ready for the game. But then you look at a game like the Giants, who, couldn't beat their way out of a paper bag, and the Saints lose to them because they just weren't up for it and didn't have that reason to play an incentive. Here we got Los Angeles, who actually has very much to play for. They're playing for a number 2 seed, which means that if, something should somehow happen to the Packers, right, next week, then they play the wild card game in LA. They play the conference game. They play the conference. Then they play the conference championship game and the Super Bowl, all in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So they've got a chance to really play all the way through at home through the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl's in LA this year. So they're incentivized to beat the
It's funny you say that, though. The NFL has made contingency plans to have the Super Bowl in Arlington because they're concerned, even though the NFL is conscious, to do some virtue signaling on all these political issues. They're not going to allow it to hit the bottom line too hard. And there's real concern with the NFL as to whether the People's Republic of California may just shut down due to COVID or Omicron. And so they do actually have contingency plans for Arlington. And Texas is like, bring it on, brother.
We'll take it.
We'll take it. And so that'll be an interesting issue in itself, is to see if the People's Republic of California will, and it's so contrary to like a socialized type government where you would actually run off business like that. To even have that discussion, because the Super Bowl is a almost a $500 billion economic impact for that, a lot of money, and you're going to even have that possibility floated, or the NFL is going to possibly have that as a, and you running California is just mind-boggling to me. But I guess that's why we don't live there. Also, too, tomorrow's like Black Monday for coaches. So Mike Zimmer's out, the Vikings. Vic Fangio's out with Denver, and Vic is childhood friend of our friend Jack Saleo, who's an attorney in New Orleans. So he's out. So you'll probably see 4 or 5 more coaches get fired tomorrow. Tomorrow's the worst day if you're an NFL coach.
Right.
Matt Nagy from Chicago. So who I don't, who on it, there'll probably be 3 or 4. Now Matt Rule from Carolina is going to get a 3rd year, which I think he's only beat us once out of, I think, 4 times. Once out of 4 chances. I think we beat him 3 out of 4.
He's been around 2 years, I think.
So, it'll be an interesting day. Yeah, I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be playing for the 49ers. He's coming back from injury. So it'll be a good game. Now, actually, I'm going to get way ahead of myself. I think the Saints would match up good with the Rams, because the way you beat the Rams is
again if they win.
Yeah, is ball control. I mean, one of the things that Taysom Hill can do is they can control the clock with their offense between if they stay on schedule. 2nd and 5, 3rd and 2, because Kamara and Taysom are hard to play in short yardage. It's just that they got a good short yardage offense, and their third down efficiency is probably very high, because you're basically running an RPO in the NFL with a quarterback who can run it, and I think they would probably match up. But I'm so way ahead of ourselves, and it'll be interesting between 3:25 and about 6:45. All the scoreboard watching.
Sure.
And and also too, a lot of these games go down to the last couple of minutes. So this may come down to a field goal by the Saints and a field goal by the Rams or the 49ers. So it'll be a fun 3.5 hours if you do that. So that'll be good. Also, we're talking. I guess we've been talking a lot about Hurricane Ida. And one thing I want to ask you, Albert, I've heard this, and maybe you can give this explanation. Had several calls saying, I don't want to file a supplement, or the insurance company has already valued my claim under the high deductible, but I don't want to file a supplemental claim because it may affect my insurance next year. How would you, and that's not correct, and if you could give further explanation on that.
No, it's not correct, because, this is not, it's not a claim based on some sort of fault. It's a claim that's going to be based upon an area-wide claim. And so, if for some reason the insurers say, hey, look, we're going to go see Jim Donnellan because we had to pay out X under these policies. Here's what we're making. Here's what our reserves are. We need a premium increase. And so what you might see is an across-the-board premium increase to cover a lot of these damages, or cover a lot of these losses by the insurance companies. But because you made a claim, and even if you make $5,000, it's $5,000 over your deductible. It's $5,000 that, it's a claim that the insurance company expects you to make. They expect you to have had damages just like your neighbors. And just because your deductible is high, make the claim. See where it goes. See what damages you have. See how much it's going to cost. What's the worst that can happen is, they write you a check for $5,000, $10,000, and it helps you cover your damages on the back end that were absorbed by the deductible.
Yeah. Now, another sort of issue that dovetails on that, I've had policyholders tell me, I have insurance with insurance company A. I filed a claim, and now they have canceled me. I should have never filed a claim. Now, what I explained to them, and it's sort of along the same lines, if you were canceled after filing a claim for Hurricane Ida, it's not because you filed, that individual policyholder filed a claim. That insurance company just made a regional decision not to write.
And actually, the other half of that, Doug, is if you are with an insurer for 3 years, then you are locked into that coverage, and you can't be canceled because of this type of claim. So if you're only in for a year, the insurer has the right to cancel you. So that's likely what might have happened with those insureds, is that they were only with that company for a year, maybe 2 years, hadn't reached their 3rd year anniversary, and the insurance company says, you know what, we want to scale back on this new business, right? This insured filed a claim in Zeta, now they filed a claim in Ida. We want to peel this off of our book of business, and they're allowed to do that for an insured that's only been with them for a year or two. And what that does is it prevents insurance company shopping by the insured, because on an annual basis, right? Because they know that we don't want to just keep flipping this around, because if you keep switching insurance companies, they're going to rate you based upon that. But what the insurance company wants is that, listen, you're invested in us, right? We've been collecting your premiums for 3 years, 5 years, whatever many years. And so we've been able to build up a reserve based upon your policy, your written policy. But if you're only with us for a year, you've really not paid into the system. Look, we're going to pay for this claim because we're covering you for this claim, and we agreed to do that. We don't have to keep you. And so if you're there for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you've paid into the system. You're part of the team now. You're going to be with us for a long time, and you have been with us for a long time. So, you're now part of just our operations of how we do business.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's go to a break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this free timeout.
Rejuvenation weekends with Rejuvenate. RejuvenateMedical.com. Drafting
is free bet to use on local sports betting in Louisiana. That's code Nick870 to get $100 in free bets instantly. Only at Draftking Sportsbook.
All things legal on WWL. Talk with Nicaud and Sunseri now on the Open Untitled Talking Text line. 504-260-1870. And don't forget to rewind on the Odyssey app.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. All right, Albert, I've been putting you on the spot all day. I'm going to do this again. Since you're only second to Paul LaGrange on your knowledge of construction. So you're multidimensional, so I'll throw this at you. One of the issues that a lot of people who have older homes or maybe older structures with Hurricane Ida is the insurance company is saying, we're not going to pay for that damage because that's due to wear and tear. And a lot of the questions are, how do you deal as a policyholder with that exclusion of wear and tear? And even if you do have some wear and tear, you could talk about how that wear and tear was exacerbated from the insurance company from a construction point of view.
You know, for instance, older homes uptown, right? Many of them have wood windows. The wood windows have, you know, little gaps that they slide up and down in. They don't have the weather stripping that newer windows have. They don't, I mean, that's just how it is. And as a result, you've got situations where they're more prone to leak. And, you know, I mean, I think the easy answer is, listen, we have severe thunderstorms in this area. New Orleans is known for its torrential rainstorms and wind. We're right next to the Gulf. Those types of storms, 40, 50, 60 mile an hour winds, did not create an opening. It did not force water through that channel. But because of the severe winds, it did that. Now, there is language in insurance policies, and this is how they fight you on it. There's language in many insurance policies that talk about the wind had to create the opening. And so they're going to argue that, no, this opening already existed and, you know, just the force of the wind pushed water through it, and therefore we're not going to be responsible for it. It didn't break a window. It didn't do this. It didn't do that. You know, your windows weren't caulked properly. And so water got in as a result of lack of maintenance, right? But again, those are the types of things that you need to establish that, look at my track record. I hadn't filed a claim since Katrina, right? My house has been, you know, secure up through this point. And in fact, it even made it through Zeta. We didn't have a claim. We didn't have any water intrusion, but it was because of this hurricane that the water came in. And so that's just something you're going to have to, you know, depending on how they dig their heels in. And some of these unadmitted companies, these Lloyd's companies and things like that, they tend to fight these things a lot more because they're in that market that, you know, they're not admitted carriers. You're not going to get.
When you say admitted carriers, can you explain what that is?
Yeah. So if you look on your billing for your insurance policy, you'll see a fee if your company is an admitted company. And now insurance agents lately have been giving you a little waiver form to sign, acknowledging that, look, we've placed you with coverage in the assigned risk or aftermarket with an aftermarket company, which means they're not admitted. Admitted means that they pay a fee based upon the policyholders to be admitted to the Guarantee Association. And so if something, which is a state organization, so if something should happen to their financial ability to pay claims and they file for bankruptcy, then the Louisiana Insurance Guarantee Association, LIGA, will take over that claim and pay, and then they're higher deductibles. You're going to pay on an actual cash value. It's kind of like an emergency thing. It's not going to pay you 100% of your damages, but it's at least some protection to know that if one of these carriers goes bankrupt, you have some coverage. So some of these unadmitted carriers, these assigned risk, high risk type policies, they have a lot more exclusions. They're written a lot differently than your standard ISO HO3 policy. And so it's you got to just read the policy and see how they've been interpreted. But, the same thing with the roof, you didn't maintain the roof. It was a leak around one of the jacks in the roof. Well, that jack didn't leak before. And so the wind obviously blew it and, tilted it, cocked it a little bit, broke a seal, whatever it did, and water got in. And so you should pay for it.
Now, also, too, if you could explain to the public the issue regarding mold exclusions, because insurance companies often use the mold exclusion like a hammer on certain issues. And, how is that actually applied in a situation involving, especially like wet sheetrock that turns moldy?
Right. So it's a cause of loss issue, right? So there's the occurrence mold has to be a secondary cause of loss to be covered under most policies. Now, there are a handful of policies that write a mold exclusion that even cover consequential mold damage and even exclude that. So you have to look at your policy and determine, what applies and what doesn't apply. But basically, if mold occurs just because your air conditioning system is oversized, or you have some sort of pre-existing leak and moisture is getting into the house, they're not going to cover you for mold abatement or mold damages because of that, because the occurrence, it was not caused by a covered cause of loss. But in situations of a penetration of moisture or water into the home, the mold was not caused by a non-covered cause of loss. It was caused as a secondary, it was damages resulting from a covered cause of loss. And therefore, those damages would be covered. So unless you have one of the more tightened up exclusions in your policy that would even exclude a secondary cause of loss, you should have coverage for that.
And as far as how, now, I guess let me go back to the wear and tear issue, or some of the exclusions that insurance companies will say, we're not covering this because of wear and tear. We're not covering this because it's not a storm created opening. At that point, often the policyholder feels sort of helpless on, well, they put it out there, they put it on the table. How do I get that issue off the table?
Well, you just, like I said, you just have to establish your history in the home, right? Look, here are some photographs, if you happen to have any, from Christmas Day, and look at this windowsill. You can zoom in on it, and I don't have any water staining anywhere. My curtains are fine, everything's great. But after this storm, I've got water penetration. And so, it's something you may eventually have to fight, because believe me, they're going to hire these attorneys, and these attorneys, excuse me, are going to do everything they can and look at every provision of that policy and every exclusion in that policy and try to apply it. Try to say, sorry, honestly, listen, I represented insurance companies for years and years. I started my career representing insurance companies. And then when I saw after Hurricane Katrina, how so many of these insurance companies were treating my fellow citizens, and some of the things that these lawyers were saying, and arguments that they were creatively making up to essentially screw somebody who is paid for their own coverage. I got to tell you, I soured on it, and that's when we started representing, thousands of Katrina victims, and way back in the day, because it was just, I couldn't deal with it anymore. And so again, I understand that they're good companies and good adjusters, and I knew a lot of these folks, and they were really trying to work with people and help them, but they have that, and I couldn't be that lawyer that was going to deny claims and do everything I can to not have to pay a claim of somebody who's just lost a substantial portion of it.
I will say this: I don't want to give the specific I guess context, but basically, in that context, on the other side, on the dark side, I guess, it was sort of stated in so many words. Hey, we have had this disaster, and we know that, for example, roofs. We know that in the hurricane zone, most of these roofs need to be replaced. Notwithstanding, say no, deny. We think we can get rid of 25 or 30% of the of claims because just part of the human nature. Some people do not want to advocate for that. It's just too painful, too difficult, and they throw their hands up and go. And even if you get past that 30%, it might be 70% still standing. Offer them a portion of what we know we owe, or we think they owe. We would owe, and we could probably get rid of another 20 or 30% with that next payment. And if there's maybe 10 or 15% people standing, then we'll deal with them. And we might even take some hits. But basically, we've gotten rid of 80 or 70, 80% of the claims at a discounted portion because we said no. I'm not talking about the morality of it. I'm not talking about right or wrong about it. It's just what happens.
It's business.
It's just business, and it's the psychology of that business. And we could have a long discussion on the morality of it, but in essence, it wouldn't do anybody any good. The issue is, how do you deal with this business environment and how you beat them at their own game? Yeah, I mean, that's basically That's basically what it is. All right, let's go to a break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
When the world changes so rapidly, a major challenge with the Omicron variant. Climate crisis. Build Back Better Act fights to protect voting rights. Information is power. Knowledge is power. Congratulations, we made it for the new year. Staying informed is the only resolution that matters. Is having no knowledge of what's going on. To work within our community. To keep ourselves safe. Very important to be up to date with current events. Not really a resolution. It's just a concept. WWL, CU's top sport leader. We go again. Since Hurricane Katrina, the insurance companies have been raising our deductibles. But now when we need our insurance payments to rebuild our homes and rebuild our lives, to deny our claims and lowballing our estimates. This is Albert Nicaud, the Nicaud and Sunseri law firm in Metairie. Let us put our team of licensed contractors, roofers, and public adjusters to work for you so you can get your home and life back in order. Call me, Albert Nicaud, at 504-837-1304, and I'll make your insurance company accountable.
Brian Radke and Ross Tucker here from Westwood One with a preview of Sunday Night Football, Week 18.
All right, I have John on the phone. He's a business owner, and he's talking about insurance.
Where's John from?
He's from Metairie. Doesn't make it special. Well, there's no question. I mean, there's going to be an incredible atmosphere anytime it's a win and in scenario. And to me, what's impressive is how both these teams have gotten here. I thought the Raiders were done. To win 3 in a row with all the off-the-field issues is extremely impressive. Meanwhile, a lot of people think Justin Herbert is the next elite quarterback. Can he prove it? We will find out. Join us for the Chargers and the Raiders on Sunday Night Football.
Remember to listen to Westwood One's coverage of the NFL all season long, right here on Saints Radio, WWL.
Without the ones like you who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7 with supplies and solutions for every industry and access to product specialists ready to help. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
So you finally got your credit score up to 700. You're feeling good, about to get a new credit card with rewards. You apply and, ooh, it's not approved. And that knocks your score right out of the 700 club. There's a better way. Next time, go to Credit Karma and check out your approval odds first so you can find a card you're more likely to get approved for. And with over 100 million members, there are plenty of reviews to help you choose. Get your free credit scores and find the right card for you at Credit Karma. Approval not guaranteed, subject to checks.
If you drive a car, truck, SUV, or vehicle of any kind, you need Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. That's right. With the free Get Upside gas app, you can get up to 25 cents a gallon cash back every time you buy gas. Nearly 3 million people have earned cash back with Get Upside just for buying gas.
I always use Get Upside. Some months I make $200 to $300.
I love getting money back for things I use every day. It's just free money for buying gas.
There's no catch. It's simple. And you get your cash back right away.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents per gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code GET for a 25 cent per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Earn cash back on gas on every fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code GET for a 25 cent per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code GET.
Writer Kate Michaels has a new project.
Okay, going live after this.
There's been murders in my neighborhood.
Sometimes there's a thin line between fact and fiction.
Who is it, FBI?
Kate Mara and Adam Scott in Ghost Rider, a new one-episode feature-length podcast movie experience from C13 Features.
Ghost Rider is available now on the Odyssey app and wherever you find your podcast.
Legal on WWL, AMFM.com, and the Odyssey app. Connect with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud on the Open Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers. Let's go to the phone lines to my hometown, Metairie, John and Metairie. Hey, what do you have for us, John?
Hey, how you doing, Doug?
Good.
I got when you what before.
Yeah.
And you were telling, we were talking about how the insurance companies, they try to scam everybody, and in essence that, they wanted me to do all their work for them and write the report backwards. Well, Albert was just talking about how he saw what they were doing. How do they get by with this on a consistent basis of telling a homeowner, no, I'm not paying for this, hoping they'll go away? And you got to keep fighting them. I've been on the phone with adjusters, and I'm getting some of the customers paid because once you say attorney, they don't like the word attorney. But it's just ridiculous that they can come back into these homes, tell people no, it's lots of damage, and nothing gets done. And it's like they get their company to go out there and write these reports that are backwards. Put a certain amount on this on dollar amount this way, so I don't have to pay. They've got a loophole to try and beat you every way that there is.
Well, I think part of what we're doing, Albert and I, and what we're doing on Tuesday nights is trying to explain the playing field. I always give this example. If you're playing a football game, you can't expect, and you're on offense, you can't expect the opposing counsel's defense to score a touchdown for you. You're going to have to strap your helmet on, and you're going to have to score your own touchdown. And that's the sort of the same analogy with the insurance companies. I mean, you're going to have to strap your helmet on, and you got to do what it takes. And I think the insurance company, you bought a policy that requires ultimately you to quantify your damages. And as Joe Respondi said in the beginning of this on Channel 8, our good friend Joe, the insurance company is not your friend. They're somewhat adversarial in a sense. They're not going to do your job for you. So, unfortunately, it's probably been like that since the 1500s when Lloyd's of London came into existence. So, what we're trying to do is right. You're right. It is frustrating. You're right to sit on the phone. In fact, when I was calling back to set up a reinspection, I was on the phone for 45 minutes going through dial pads and, being placed on hold, and your claim has been reassigned, and here's the scheduler information, all that. I get it. And it is frustrating. So what you have to do is harness that frustration on how to beat them. Because you do, and you have some good laws backing homeowners. What they do is they use the policy provisions against the homeowner. So what the homeowner needs to do is to use the law against the insurance company to maximize their claim. And there's very good law saying that once they get notice of proof of loss, as Albert's been talking about for the last 3 hours, satisfactory proof of loss, they're on the clock. And if the clock runs out on them, you may have extra damages against them. So basically, the key is, this is the way it is. This is the environment we're dealing with. How do we beat them? How do we use the laws that are in the homeowner's favor in favor of me so I can maximize my claim? And that's yeah.
They're using their own companies that are basically fraudulent to go out there and give this lowball estimate. You know, when you get there as a legitimate company, and those just give you three estimates, they basically use our companies to go out there and give them the proper estimate, but then until we can get it done cheaper, they send that guy out there who's not going to do it cheaper, gives them this ridiculously low price, tells them to put the front end of the amount on, let's call it an active guy or his property line. We're only going to pay for this portion and put the rest of the dollar amount on another. The homeowners don't know how to fight these claims. Right. They don't have time to sit there and fight for 30 people a day. It's impossible. I mean, something's got to be done with the fraud that's going on with these insurance companies. It's fraud.
So let's back up and talk about that for a second. So one of the consequences of having what the insurance commissioner has done, what the legislature has done to enforce what is called a first-party claim. Right, you get rear-ended by somebody, you file suit against them and their insurance company. Their insurance company is a third party. That's a third-party claim. This is your insurance company. They're supposed to be looking out for you, protecting you, right? This is a first-party claim. And because of that, the laws are very clear that if they don't adjust the claims fairly, if they don't respond to a satisfactory proof of loss within 30 days or 60 days, there's severe penalties. Up to 50% of the damages plus attorney's fees, or 2 times the damages, depending on when and how severe things are. So there are penalties. So they have to get people on the streets. They have to get someone out there to evaluate the claim. That's their responsibility, is to get somebody on the streets to do that. Now, they don't have, when something like a hurricane occurs, they don't have 300 adjusters on staff to go out and do that. So they have to hire these third-party companies. Well, the third-party companies don't have 300 people sitting around either. So what they do is they get as many people that they've used in the past. Some of them are very good. Some of them are very honest. And then they get other folks that, like I said, just grab them off the street, train them for a week, and put them out there, because the insurance company has to meet its duty. They have to go out there and just give you a number. And so, hey, look, we hired this company. They came in. This guy's trained, and he did a terrible report, but we'll work with you on the supplement. Okay, so I mean, I had someone come out. She was from Harahan. She's very experienced on one of my rentals. She paid me a whole lot more than I ever would have expected. I signed the proof of loss and sent it in, and it was done. So this broad brush stroke that every insurance company's out to screw you, or that every adjuster's out to screw you. Look, you might have somebody with State Farm next door to you with similar damages. One guy got paid full for his damages, and the lady next door got 10% of her damages, and it's just a factor of who was sent out there to do that initial claims evaluation. And so we're finding a lot of times that these insurance companies understand this. So when you come out with a satisfactory proof of loss and file your own claim, they look at it and say, yeah, okay, this looks reasonable. We see the photographs. We're going to pay it. But look, we did what we had to do to get money on the streets or get a claims adjustment out there. But now we're in a situation where, okay, you've now pushed it back in our court, and you've given us satisfactory proof of loss. We're settling a lot of those claims. Now, some of those claims, we're submitting them, and we're still not hearing from an adjuster. A lawyer 4 months later, still not hearing from an adjuster. They're going to get hammered. They're going to get hammered at mediation. They're going to get hammered at trial. They've dropped the ball, whether intentionally or not. We've been through 5 different adjusters. So it's not all they're out to screw you. Some of it is we had to put money on the streets. Now go get your own estimate and see where we are.
All right. Well, hey.
You missed this portion of the time. I've talked to Doug and his wife once before. And I understand what you're saying. What I'm telling you is the insurance company themselves told me once before, hey, you write these reports for me, I'll give you all the work you can handle. But you got to write it this way. They wanted me to write basically a crooked report.
Yeah.
Some of these customers, I want to treat them. These customers are 80 years old. They don't have no rules. They can't fight for themselves.
I had a lady, 80-year-old, call me, and I felt horrible for her. I told her I'd work with her on the fee. She had a small claim, but she's like, she couldn't afford it once her deductible was in. And so we'll send somebody out there and we'll work with you on all the pricing because this is just ridiculous. And I get it. So we got to take our last break. Thanks for the call.
John, you raised some very good points, and we appreciate the call, and best of luck with you, especially tree service and getting paid on your claims. Let's go to a break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your Weekend Lawyers. We'll be right back.
Draftking Sportsbook is giving customers $100 in Draftking is bringing their experience as a leader in daily fantasy sports to the sports betting world and has created one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps, Draftking Sportsbook. Download the Draftking Sportsbook app now and use code BIGGAME70 when you sign up. Those who sign up right now will get $100 in free bet to use on mobile sports betting in Louisiana. That's code BIGGAME70 to get $100 in free bets instantly. Only at Draftking Sportsbook. Visual rates coverage offerings and subject to terms and conditions available. If you're a small business owner, listen up. My insurance wants to give you one of those aha moments. The fact that you can save you money. Workers' comp is probably one of the biggest costs you face. But did you know that insurance providers have flexibility in setting their prices? That's right, but many don't bother giving small businesses the savings you deserve. Instead, you can get lumped in with other businesses and overcharged. My insurance was created to change that. I did a quote tailored specifically to your business, and you could save up to 30% with no hassle and no hidden fees. And with helpful representatives just a call away, it's easy to understand why I is rated excellent, but customers don't trust by them. Take 3 minutes to see how much you could save with My Insurance. Ask your agent for Pi or go to trypi.com. That's TRYPIE.com. And my friend Andrew Turney, we know the car I still take the weekends off, and neither do we. And you can hurry right over the weekend. I'll wait for Monday to get the help you need right now. We have people standing by ready to take your call, ready to give you free advice, and ready to help you get medical attention you need. You don't have to wait for Monday to call and hurry. Call me, Mike Brander. We're the 24/7 injury attorney, and we're able to get you the help you need right now. You need a high, I think that's a core, you can be there. High schools that time, become my daughter. That's the surprise behind the brand that we are world on eBay for right now too. Well, the best poker
Is question still on? All right.
Interactive, lifetime lesson. So remember what you learned. ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿De dónde eres? ¿De dónde eres? No matter your learning style or experience level, Babbel has lessons designed for you.
We're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert, Nicaud, your weekend lawyers. If you can't get us on the phone, you call us our law firm at 504-837-1304, 504-837-1304, or North Shore 985 624-9697, 504-624-9697. Also, we have a hurricane blog that could answer all your hurricane questions. It would be idahurricaneclaim.com, idahurricaneclaim.com. And then if you go to that, we have blogs on every issue regarding hurricane claims. Let's go to phone lines. Let's go to Christian from Old Metairie. Got a couple of minutes before the end of the show. Christian, what do you have for us, brother? Sure. Well, I got a couple of minutes. Yeah, we got a couple of minutes, but we do have good laws against home for your first party claims and homeowners. You can be liable up to double damages or attorney's fees or 50% penalties, depending on which statute, if you're 30 or 60 days late on paying after satisfactory proof of loss. They are good laws on the books. Now, the problem is sometimes when you have 100,000 claims, the court system, it takes 3 or 4 years to get through it if you have one of those claims. We've tried 3 Katrina claims. After Katrina, we got attorney fees and penalties on each one of them. So you do have laws. I think part of what we're trying to do is educate people on how to utilize the law in their favor. Because a lot of the people with very good intentions don't understand the law and want the insurance company to do the job for the policyholder. And then the policyholder is like, gee, it takes so much work. But if you set up your claim right, you have some very good laws to operate under this, like a Hurricane Ida, Hurricane Katrina, Gustav, or just name it. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that's about a 3-hour show with Newell. But what I'm saying is for Hurricane Ida, there are good laws for homeowners claims. There are very good laws to protect you. The issue is how does informing the general public of the laws and how to comply with the law and have their satisfactory proof of loss. If you can do it right, you have good laws protecting you in Louisiana. The hard part is just a lot of people aren't informed and need to know how to do it. But thanks for the call. Albert will be hosting next week. I will be nursing a hangover probably after Katie, our daughter's wedding. So I'm not going to be in, but Albert will be in with a guest. So we'll see you. All right, so we'll see you next week on All Things Legal, and have a great week. And thanks, Albert, and we'll see you next week.